Welcome to Toffee TV, where we've got Ell Bretland from the Blue Room and some newspapers. He's also recognised as one of the leading fighters of internet trolls, I believe, as well.
I am, apparently this week.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to do it with a beard like that, though.
He looks like a Viking.
You know, you would fight. It's very Game of Thrones. I do feel like he would be fighting trolls. Or
under the bridges.
Well, yeah.
Or other trolls.
Oh, yeah. Other trolls are available. Let's just get. I mean, we haven't signed anyone. I feel a bit weird, but we haven't signed anyone for a few. This is how Liverpool fans must feel, genuinely.
I came in before and they're doing the film. Yeah. We signed someone again because he's smirking. It's like, not today.
Well, we might. I mean, it's still early. You know what I mean? But the business has gone. It's gone quiet, but it feels like it might be because we're trying hard to get somebody.
Still stuff going on, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I suppose as well, it's time to get down to business, isn't it? Now, you know, the draw was done for the Euros last week, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it does feel like now it's time to get down to business. They've gone to Holland, and it'll be about what they've got in and getting them to the point of maximum fitness, I suppose.
Yeah, we obviously just come back from Africa, haven't we, and everything switches now towards the Europa League and getting ready for that on the 27th. But this week will be more minutes on the pitch for players, won't it? It'll be probably more tactics and stuff. The thing about last week's trip was obviously they had a lot of PR stuff to do as well, and it was an in and out. So I think this week it's a camp, isn't it? That's what Jan Kleitenberg has been talking about. Doesn't speak like that. But he's talking about a training camp and everything, and I think everything will be refined this week, more testing, a bit more tactics, a bit how they're going to play. Obviously Sandro has joined up with them. We've seen the pictures of him in the airport yesterday. Jordan Pickford, I think he's joining this week, isn't he?
So he had a goodbye meal with his mates in Sunderland yesterday.
So he'll be in on the way as well. Mason Holgate, he'll be back. So they're all, you know, they'll be back within that, and again the squad will go a bit bigger, won't it? So everything will turn, but that's not saying that the other stuff isn't continuing.
No, but it does feel like they're just refining, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty. I mean, what did you make of the performance last week in Tanzania against Gomaya SC?
Standard friendly performance, wasn't it? It didn't really get going. I think Rooney showed that he's got that little bit of nous, that little bit of quality that we've lacked over the years. It was good to see the young lads, Connolly, Kenny, play, and I think Connolly, I think he could be a really useful member in the squad this season. I wouldn't say to loan him out. I think he can. We're still building the squad, and we've suffered for depth in the past. I think if we can have Connolly just there, just to fill in as a utility man, I think that could really benefit us. But yeah, as I say, it wasn't a brilliant game, but it was nice to get, you know, good win.
Great. It was a really good one. Connolly, if he's got to stay, he has to make sure that he's not letting near post headers in like he did. He's got to switch on. But no, he looks he looks like he can fill in and do his job. He's had some good league experience at Wigan, didn't he? He's obviously played in the Premier League for us against Southampton a couple of years ago.
No, I suppose now, we spoke about this last week, isn't it? And it's the same with Kieran Dahl. This is the time now, in the next couple of weeks, they've really got to impress. They've got to say to the manager, because once it gets going next week, there isn't any time, is there? It's weird, because it's a really weird pre-season, I think, because you know, you look at everyone else, and we were talking about this as well last week. We were saying hardly anyone's bought anyone, but it's because really the pre-season hasn't really got going.
And we start before anyone else.
Exactly, and everyone's just starting to go on the tours now and stuff. You see everyone this week going away, and there's the Premier League Cup in Hong Kong, wherever it is, and people are going to America and things like that. There's not as much of a rush for them, but for us there is a rush, and you just think after this week, or certainly by the end of next week, everything's going to start gearing up, and there ain't going to be any time for those young players. So this is now in the next couple of weeks where Kieran Dahl, John Joe Kenny, Connolly, I've really got to say to the manager, I deserve to be in and around that first team squad. Otherwise, I think they're going to be shipped to the under-23s, back into the under-23s, and they're going to have really big displays like Tom Davies did last year. Well, it's twofold, isn't it? It's really big displays and hoping that someone there's a gap in the first team.
That's the thing. I think that's the difference with Kenny and Dahl. I feel sorry for Dahl because he is a really good player and he deserves a chance. But that midfield is already packed as it is, and I think if he comes through 5 years ago, he gets in around the 18 and he gets his chance to maybe come on last 20 minutes and maybe shine, impress, and then, you know, the next game he might give him a go and a start. So now that midfield is so packed, I do think he needs to go out on loan. I think it's good. I think he should be in and around the first team for the pre-season, get the experience there, but then I think for Dahl he needs to go out. But like you said, it's all about luck, isn't it, with football? That Kenny has come in and for him Coleman is injured, so that there's the gap there. So I think that's the difference. It is all about luck for these young players, but as you say, they've got to impress when they do get the chance.
I mean, Dahl's a weird one because the ability's there, isn't it? As we saw last week, that's
you can imagine though in League One or in Scotland, he'll be just pinging them all every week.
I think he needs something higher than that. He's got. I think the thing with Kieran Dowell, it's quite fragile because we've seen him at the 23s, as you probably have as well. Too many times you forget he's on the pitch, and then the next minute you're celebrating because he's back.
Yeah, he's that sort of player, isn't he? Yeah.
So he's got to try and work himself into the game more and catch Koeman's eye. And this is got 2 games here. The other thing is hopefully we're going to have 4 qualifying games before the group stages in the Europa League. The ideal would be whoever our opponents are, we spank them 4-0 or something at Goodison 5, and then you can go away to the away leg and then give him a bit of a go, not right from the off, but you can manage the game and then put him on, say like we'll use you in this game to get some experience and do it that way, you know, playing in a real game for the first team, because I always think that kicks up as well, where it's friendly is a friendly, but if you're playing in a competitive game, gives you that little bit of I need to do it, it's important to have a track back and that kind of thing. So it is, you're right, it's critical for those lads because they have only got really 2 weeks to impress, because we're gonna be in the games. Once the games are there, the games are there.
I can imagine. I mean, Kenny, I think gives him exactly what he wants, doesn't he? Gives him. He's someone he will get forward. He is like Seamus Coleman, whereas Holgate, when he was playing there, clearly showed he is a centre back that can play right back but can't play as an attacking.
With Kenny, it's natural, whereas Holgate, when he's out of that position, you can see he's always thinking that
he's got to think
I've got it, and it's forced. I always say square pegs round holes. I want to see now Kenny and maybe Cuco Martina or another right back playing there, and Holgate gets his chance at centre back.
But you can fully understand someone Cuco Martina there. I mean, obviously there's nothing rubber stamped as yet. We imagine it will be this week, but you can understand why he wants to bring him in. He's got Seamus Coleman, who won't be back, you know, kicking a ball till November, December, and then who knows how that injury settles down. It can go one or 2 ways. You just never know. It could be.
Well, Oviedo, I'm not trying to liken it to Oviedo, but Oviedo come back and then played and was out again.
But that's the thing.
You don't know how
it doesn't matter how good the player is. It's a physical thing, isn't it? You know that he could come back and he could get a niggle here, a niggle there. Who knows how he'll come back? It's good to have that insurance of a player who's got 10 years or whatever experience of a level. Okay, it might be what everyone wants to see, but you've got to have that little bit of experience.
I think squad depth is what's held Everton back for the last 10 years. It's always been, we've had a really good, solid, strong 11, and one injury, you play one player out of position, and you have to put another player there, and it just never knits together. Whereas with now that we've got the funds to buy these players and we're able to buy them early, you can then buy your young players. It's great experience. Holgate has probably learned loads at right back, but to have him at centre back and have Martina in reserve, who's a natural right back, he's used to playing there, I just think it helps the club out loads.
I also think, and I think this is different from what a lot of people think, I also think by bringing in Martina aids John Joe Kenny's development rather than goes against it. If you were to bring in a right back, like a 24 year old right back who's like the next big thing, that's blocking John Joe Kenny's progress. Bringing in a bit of a journeyman who probably is happy to sit on Everton's bench for 2 years and collect his money. I know that's not what everyone wants to hear, but that's I mean, I'd compare it to someone like Stecklenburg, who
I was thinking the exact same
quite thing, clearly is happy being a footballer who plays now and again as a laugh. Because don't forget, a match is one thing at the end of the week. You train all week. That's the big. But you train all week. You have a laugh here with your mates. And that's a dream job. Playing footy at the end of it is just like the icing on the cake. So if you are a bit of a journeyman, I think you'd be happy to do that. So I think
Martina, he's going from Southampton's bench to Everton's bench in Europe, where he might get his chance in Europe as well. So it's spot on. I think
and for me, I think the manager's proved that if a youngster is better than a senior player, he'll play the youngster. I don't think anyone has to worry about that anymore. So I think
it's down to the players, isn't it? It's down to, there's a, like you just said before, that it's luck in football a lot of the time, unless you Wayne Rooney at 16 who was, you know, or Steven Gerrard. A lot of the times it's luck at whether you're going to get in or not, and you know that gap is there for John Joe Kenny at the moment, because obviously Seamus is injury, so he's got to grasp it. If he doesn't take it, if he's not able to take it now, then you're going to need someone like Cuco Martina who's got that experience.
And it's good for Kenny to have that in the back of his mind. He's already got the pressure of starting for Everton after getting his chance, but he knows that if he's not up to it, Koeman can put Martina in, whereas if we didn't sign Martina, he's thinking, well, Holgate can play there, but this is my position, this is what I do.
He sings a song with the England under-20s about, you know, number 43 running down the wing and Holgate is a centre half, and also we have, obviously him and Holgate, you know, we're having that bent anyway, aren't they, about, you know, who plays what, and you know that as a player, you look at him thinking that I could make that position my own. He's an Evertonian, he wants to do it. I think that helps him. I think you're right, you know, bringing in someone who can play the role but isn't necessarily, you know, he won't be, John Joe Kenny won't be looking at Cuco Martina going, I won't be able to oust him, I'm not as good as him. He'll be looking going,
makes him hungrier for
it's a little carrot, it's a carrot, he can get it, he can easily get it. And actually that's sometimes better than just having an open position. An open position that someone can just walk into sometimes isn't the best thing in football. One name springs to mind, that's Luke Shaw. Which used to thinking the same thing as me, I could tell by your faces. But Luke Shaw is the perfect example. He's someone who just walked into the Southampton team, then was told he was just going to walk into the England team, then was told he was just going to walk into the Man United team. Know where he walked? Into a Burger King. That's where he walked instead.
After the KFC.
Yeah, exactly. Before his Pizza Hut. Sometimes you just give
other fast food restaurants are available.
I don't know.
To Luke.
Let's be honest. I just want Deliveroo to come to Stonycroft. That's just my personal plea, for God's sake, or Uber Eats. Could one of you just come to Stonycroft? Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna have to drive halfway to meet them just to get like Five Guys or something. So
Luke Shaw does.
But someone like Luke Shaw, who's just given everything on a plate, you feel, and then what happens is,
you could argue that's been his downfall.
Exactly, and it happens to loads of footballers. They are literally you've just mentioned Deulofeu. I think Deulofeu was the perfect example. When it starts getting tough, he runs in the other direction, and that's always been certainly my biggest issue with him. I think you've got to test these players. You've got to give them some. I think the fact that Tom Davies had to fight his way into the first team and now has to fight to keep that position is what is going to make him a better player. No, just tick him off every week on the first team list. That's not going to help him at all. Maybe that's why we need to maybe go and buy a stronger second keeper to push. Although Pickford doesn't feel like that, but I think you've always got to be pushing these kids all the time and not just giving them something on a plate. Otherwise, they'll just become lazy bastards.
Not fat, because they should be training everything.
Referring back to Luke Shaw.
Oh, Luke Shaw, yeah. Well, he's going to end up at West Ham, isn't he? Let's be honest, or Southampton or something, because he's not getting into a Jose Mourinho side anytime soon, I don't think.
Well, he'll go to Southampton and Mourinho will buy him back for 50 million.
No, he'll go to Southampton and Liverpool will buy him for 50 million. Yeah, so obviously that's their opportunity. The other thing I'm looking forward to seeing is a bit more structure, so having a look at Michael Keane again, getting the chance to have a look at Sandro Ramirez while they're there, looking at Davy Klaassen, because that came and went because of Rooney, you know, overshadowing him, and rightly so. You know, but I think what it does is, as well, is when you start looking at that team, like me and Ell off camera, they were talking about picking a formation about who plays where, but to me there's still a couple of big holes in that squad. If we are, I'm not talking about catching 6th, because we almost caught 6th last year without trying, and we almost caught 5th, only Lukaku spat his dummy out the pram in March and we lost the goals. I'm looking and thinking, why can't we catch 4th and 3rd? Do you know what I mean? Because I personally believe the top 2 or 3 places will be fought out with some teams, but 4th to 7th I think will literally are wide open.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I still think on paper we're the 6th or 7th best team, but whereas now we've got the squad depth we can compete for 4th or 3rd. I think those the results, the defeats and the draws last season, it's because we just lacked that little bit of extra. I don't know what the word is, but we lack something. And now we've got so many options and so many choices. You can see Koeman, an hour in, he's now got those players. I don't think he was brave enough away from home either. But
we said that last season.
But he can be now. I think because it's his players, the players he wanted, he can look at the team and think we're good enough now to do this.
I think bravery. I mean, you don't have to look at something like Middlesbrough, where with 10 minutes to go, the game was wide open, and he brought Barry on the side to take a point. I think,
but I think that was like we've said last. I think his plan very early on was points away, win it all. Points away, win it all.
I think the defence was. I think the defence was a big key in that last season. Not having any pace. In your centre backs means you can't push on. With Keane having, I think, okay, he's not. I'm not saying he's rapid or anything, but it gives you that little bit.
Can't he?
He can move. Compared to the other two, he gives that little bit of extra insurance that if a ball does come over the top. I think Burnley early on was you looked at Burnley and you thought they only have to put long balls in, and they kept on getting an advantage over us because of the old. So I think that's really key. But for me, I'd sort of not disagree with you as such, the pair of you, but I think I look at it and I go 5th or 6th, but it's more for me. It's a more rounded thing. It's about being able to play on a Wednesday night in the League Cup, and then being able to put a strong team out on a Saturday, and then being able to put a strong team out on the Thursday in Europa if we're there, obviously, touch wood. And then on the Saturday or the Sunday, being able to put that to me is more about what the squad's building. I don't think it's in terms of quality. I don't think it's still as good as those teams above us. No. But I don't think that matters. I think it's about, can you put a team out Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Sunday? I think that's more important for us.
No, I agree. That is right. But even that argument, if we look at we're not as good as Leicester, you're telling me anyone would have had Leicester's team? Not a chance.
No, but I think,
and that's the thing, mate.
You just no, you're right. But I think another thing that people forget about the Leicester story was it was just a team.
But that's
no,
and that's what you've got to do. And this is what
they didn't have any Europe, are they?
No, yeah, but they won the title. I'm not talking about us winning the title. What I'm saying is, last year, the reason why I don't buy this big gap between everyone else and Everton, because there wasn't a big gap last season. We won. I've said it. I don't know how many videos. We won 4 away matches, and 50% of those away wins were the first 2 games of the season. Yeah. So we won 2 matches away from home from September to May. And we still finished quite close to 6th.
You can't get any momentum, can it? No. So you're always going to be just below
if we'd have won 7 or 8, 9 away games like other teams above us did, we'd have been
Liverpool, Burnley, Bournemouth. On paper, you look at them and you go, we can win that. We can win
West Ham. We went to West Ham when they were pants. Everyone was. We didn't even have a shot on target. Stoke away, we should have won it. Early season, we went behind 40 seconds at Southampton and got beat 1-0.
What I think for next season as well is, I would never accept 7th, but if we end 7th but the performance has improved, we've ground out away results and we've got more points on the board,
and we've won a trophy
and a trophy, obviously that's key. I still think that's progress for Koeman's second season.
I think it's going to be
it's about closing the gap.
It's going to be tough still, but there's got to be tangible. It's got to be
going to be a weird season, I think, all round, because I think the teams above us are only improving by 1 or 2 players. They're all looking for the edge, all looking for that little edge. You see Man City pay 50 million for a right back. Obviously it's a right back that can bomb on like as good as anyone, and they're looking, and they've bought centre midfield, something like a David Silva replacement. Everyone's looking for the fine margins, and then you look below and you think, what's everyone else doing? There's nobody. Bournemouth have done a little bit of business, but apart from that, everyone's just bought the odd little player. And I said this last week, didn't we? It almost feels like everyone below us has decided, it's not worth it. It's not worth going mad this summer, because there's not the quality at the right price. So that's why it feels like we're almost stuck in the middle, having to just go and grab it, get all our targets. So I think it's going to be a weird season this season. So I do think they're there to catch, and I do think it'll help. Hopefully it'll help us. Obviously we're in Europe, but Liverpool are in Europe this season. Chelsea are in Europe this season. That's going to make it harder for them. Are Arsenal going to massively improve with what they've bought so far? I don't know if they're going to massively improve, because I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure whether a player like Lacazette is going to really help their defence. Do you know what I mean? You know, I look at Arsenal and think that your issues weren't in scoring goals, your issues were other places at the pitch. So Man United will probably massively improve because of the players they've
I agree.
brought.
I think from looking at it, I think United, City and Chelsea, the champions, I think those three are the ones that, you know, it'd be great if we could finish above one of them. But I think Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham, we can pick them off. I think Tottenham playing at Wembley is a massive thing for them.
I've been massively surprised that Tottenham haven't gone out and tried to buy someone for 50 million.
No, they're only going to have to pay 20 for them. That's right.
I'm just massively surprised that Tottenham haven't tried to improve because they've come short 2 seasons in a row. So it's there, but you need the finishing touches, and you have to pay for the finishing touches.
They might be Ross Barkley.
It's not going to be Ross Barkley, though, is it? They might buy Ross Barkley, but he isn't.
That's what he might.
I don't think he's the finishing touch.
No,
and now
that's
they've just.
What he might think, mightn't he?
But I think that's weird if he thinks that, because. And they're going to Wembley, which is a really good
And if he
point.
does think it, they know he's available as well. He is available if you look at it. In terms of he hasn't.
Daniel Levy. No, that's where he's going. It's Daniel Levy, isn't it? Yeah. Daniel Levy won't pay.
Maybe they're just thinking with the new stadium, you might need to just go, hold your horses. Yeah. Got a young enough squad.
I think
build another year.
Alright,
but it is there, but that's what I'm saying.
But I think the other thing as well is that the hype in this country, the hype with Sky Sports News, that you've got to go out every summer and buy 15 players. It doesn't work. You don't need to.
No, they want you to buy 15.
That's what I'm saying. So other people
as well, they've got a young squad.
Spurs have got a fantastic side.
But I agree. But I still think it's a bit weird that they haven't looked at the places they were weak last season, like a second striker, let's say. I just find it a little bit.
I think they'll end up with Josh King.
Well, possibly so. And as I say, it is a little bit weird. Our time scale to everyone else is a little bit different. So we are ahead. It does feel like we're ahead of everyone else. So we're looking around and we think, well, where are the buys? They probably will come. You know, Liverpool, I'm sure, will end up with 2 or 3 more.
It's usually like a domino effect, isn't it? One of those big 6 pays big, like United play for Everton. But I mean, we're already spending, but maybe it takes.
I thought it might be the Walker deal.
I think Walker, yeah, and it may start like next week.
Yeah, when they probably get a good look at what they need. And also, I had a really interesting quote from the other day, which is from the person it came from, was weird. Phil Neville saying that Mourinho only bought Lukaku because he didn't want Chelsea to have him. And I think there's a little. That's a very. See Mourinho's face, he doesn't look arsed long Lukaku, let's be honest. But I think there's a genuine feel for that. And you've heard today, Chelsea want Aguero. And you think, well, City never let him. And I think there will be a few of those deals in the next few weeks where, because they are so close to each other, they'll look at each other and go, we can't let him. You slapping in the 80s all the time, didn't you? No. Liverpool bought Ian Rush and Dean Saunders just to stop us. Stan Collymore, you know, to stop us from buying them. And it does happen, and I think there will be a little bit of that with some of these buys. So
I think with Tottenham as well, they've been stung before. They got all that Bale money, spent it on 6 or 7, and it didn't really work out. So I think now Pochettino's there. I think he seems very he's assertive and he knows what he wants. And it may be he only wants 1 or 2. So it may take a little while.
I think he looks at the team and he'll go, we are boss. Yeah. So if we get him and then Ross Barkley and Josh King, I'm happy. And if it takes till August to get them.
But I think getting Ross Barkley and Josh King in does improve them.
It does improve them. It would improve them, yeah. It would, of course it would. It's just whether... I just thought someone like Spurs would have had that one almost lined up. Like we've seen to have.
It's who they can get though, I suppose. We'll have this problem next summer.
Oh yeah.
Next summer we won't be scattergun. We want him because we've bought at a good age level. So all of those players should be carrying on. So next summer we probably want another centre forward and maybe another centre, unless we buy another centre back this summer, but maybe a centre back and then maybe a left wing, and that might be it. Yeah. And it might be that we have to bide our time and go, well, we really want him, and it's gonna, you know. The work goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks of trying to get that player, because it might be the team doesn't want to sell, and you'd have to try and be persuasive, and if not, you throw your hand up and go, I can't get him, so I'm going to have to get him, you know. And that's how it might be. This summer for us has been easier because we've had all these targets and we've been able to pick other teams' best players off and go, yeah, we want him. We wouldn't be able to go and pick the elite level players off if they wanted them, because that's just not the way it is at the minute.
Something Matt Jones, who's been on the show a lot, something he said is he thinks now we've got our targets from they're still the best player at their club, but they're attainable. Now we're going for the Sigurdsson, Giroud, who it's a bit more difficult. You're going to have to maybe pay him. So I think, you know, he's got it spot on. There is going to be a bit of a lull, I think, now,
of course,
before our next deal.
The ones we've brought in so far were the ones we absolutely needed to get. Absolutely. Now the ones we're going for now, you're absolutely right, they're the finishing touches. Yeah. They're the ones we'll be going for next summer. They are.
Now, because clubs know we've spent all this money, we've got the money, and we're a bit more, you know, we really want these players. It's just that little bit, it's more negotiating.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's got to be, there's got to be a little bit of caretaking with money as well. I've seen a lot of people going, just pay 50 odd million for Sigurdsson, doesn't matter, just pay, not your money. Yeah, it isn't my money, but at the same token, pay 55 for Sigurdsson.
Yeah.
Then Arsenal or Palace.
So that's the President as well. They were willing to pay that much for him.
Benteke kept Palace up, so you want him? All right, 45 million.
But also,
for him.
though, every player has a value, don't they? And it's what the value has to be. What does that person bring to the football team? Sigurdsson, you know, I'm sure he brings a lot, or any player brings a lot. But you've got to have the value. You can't. At the moment, it just feels like they're picking them out the air, doesn't it, for players? It's getting really, really stupid. I know, I'm not saying that in an old man, give it to nurses kind of way. It just seems random at the moment how they are figuring out who's worth what.
I personally think we can get Sigurdsson for cheaper than, I reckon we can get him for 40, maybe even 35.
I think he'd have to drive the bus,
because he didn't go on their tour. I think Swansea are now going, it's like Everton have done in the past with Lescott. You look at it and you think, is this detrimental to us now to keep him?
Yeah, it's a for any player, or for any transfer, it's a game of brinkmanship, isn't it? Yeah. You know, it's who blinks first in that case. So there you go. That's a little bit of a catch up for the pre-season. Make sure you check out. We'll be doing more videos with Ell this week. Make sure to check them out on Toffee TV. If you haven't already, subscribed to us on Patreon. Make sure you get over there. The Blue Room as well, where you can find Ell and occasionally myself. Make sure you check that out. They're going to be starting a new subscription service. Don't subscribe. If it means we lose money, then don't go near the place. I'm only messing.
I haven't said anything.
I'm only messing. Do what you want. It's a free country. Or free country. Well, it is at the moment. I mean, we'll do that in any other business. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.